Right, lecturing quantum mechanics, go.
Well,
you failed.
Would be useful.
I don't know. Hold on, let me Google that. And oh, it's the creepy bank. Because all banks are creepy.
At night.
Who goes to a bank? Unless you're robbing it, why are you at a bank at night? And,
Exactly.
It's either you work there or you're robbing it. It's the reason you'll be at a bank at night. And I think even if you work there, you shouldn't be there at night. Unless you're like the bank manager. I don't know how banks work. I doubt banks actually have giant vaults beneath them, but it's not all banks. Evil power of crows. Alright, quantum mechanics, go.
You didn't tell me a starting point.
This is your just a brief what it is.
I don't understand quantum mechanics.
Don't worry, neither people wrote this game. Did you have it Bioshock Infinite? Not being well written.
Parallel universes, I understand, but that's not quantum mechanics on its own.
Anyone understands different universes? It's just reading DC comic and
I've got a very simplistic sense of parallel universes.
You rapidly learn to dislike parallel universes and reboots.
Quantum mechanics is the part of physics that tells us how the things that make up atoms work. It tells us how electromagnetic waves, like light, work. It's also called quantum physics or quantum theory. It's a mathematical framework for much of modern physics and chemistry. It helps us make sense of the smallest things of nature, like protons, neutrons, and electrons.
You're reading this on Wikipedia. Are you reading this on Wikipedia?
Yes, it's from the simple version.
It's a simple version.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to go for the full?
No, I would rather not.
No. You fine.
Right,
you asked for it.
No, editor, mute this part of his audio. Carry on.
Quantum mechanics, including quantum field theory, is a branch of physics which is the fundamental theory of nature at the small scales and energy scales of atoms and subatomic particles. Classical physics, the physics existing before quantum mechanics, derives from quantum mechanics an approximation valid only at large macroscopic scales. Quantum mechanics differs from classical physics in that energy, momentum are often restricted to discrete levels, quantization. Objects have characteristics of both particles and waves, i.e. wave-particle duality. It is considered that there are limits to the precision with which quantities can be known, and the uncertain principle. Quantum mechanics gradually arose from Max Planck's solution in 1900 to the black body radiation problem, reported in 1859, and Albert Einstein's 1905 paper, which offered a quantum-based theory to explain the photoelectric effect, reported 1887. Early quantum theory was profoundly reconceived in the 1920s.
Sorry, I'm reading beauty news.
The reconceived theory is formulated in various specially developed mathematical formalisms. In one of them, a mathematical function, the wave function, provides information about the probability amplitude of position, momentum, and other physical properties of a particle. Important applications of quantum theory include quantum chemistry, superconducting magnets, light-emitting diodes, and the laser, the transistor, and semiconductors, such as the microprocessor, medical and research imaging, such as magnetic resonance imaging, and electron microscopy. Explanations for many biological and physical phenomena are rooted in the nature of the chemical bond, most notably the macromolecule DNA.
I know the prophet is a liar, but he cannot be.
There you go.
I understood every word of that.
I didn't catch a word of it. I'm thinking of. I recognise terms. I couldn't explain them.
Talks
really
at
to
you, not to you. You're like,
yeah.
No fucking clue. What it felt like.
It's alright. I felt like that reading it out.
I know.
Good. I'm glad you felt the same reading it out.
He cannot be.
You should feel bad.
I know the prophet is a murderer, but.
What I quite like is just as I finished that, Lady Comstock just started with, the prophet is a liar.
It's like, well, we're interrupting with that. He's going off again.
Why would he reveal it to such a
Well done, Lady Comstock. Well done.
monster?
Even though you're dead. Well, mostly dead. You are kind of floating around currently.
Remind me what we're doing in the bank in the first place.
We're trying to find 3 links to Lady Comstock's parts to...
We've got 2, haven't we?
We've got 1 so far. It's the second one. To quell her ghost so she can open the door to Comstock House.
That's the one.
Because this is now currently a video game and we have to collect 3 things.
As you do.
As you do. The first one was the reveal, her shouting at her blue testers for believing she did some hanky-panky with Comstock to make Elizabeth, but as she said, yeah, Comstock is sterile because of traveling through dimensions. Apparently makes you sterile. And so she has no interest in her dear prophet in that sense. Although Lily Comstock didn't believe her and screamed at her for a bit. As you do.
Terrible.
I forgot what the bank's link to her is, other than it's the prophet's bank, and you basically own all the money in it.
That'll do.
Yeah, but they're all meant to link back to her in some way. I can't remember how that. Oh, I remember. It's the thing about Fink. We've got to the tear yet, but the tear you find is about how the Lutesses had their accident and quote unquote died, and how he got Fink to do it. Because he arranged to have the Lutesses quote unquote killed, although they didn't die. They just became super powerful, awesome god beings traveling across dimensions. Well, there's the tear. That I just spoiled. Spoiler that. Fink was in on it. But we've already established Fink is kind of an asshole, so... You shouldn't be the third. What's the third one? Oh, I know what the third one is. Well, I won't say that. Of what the third one is. This is a nice bank. Sorry, if you get rid of all the bodies and corpses lying around...
And if I do this
No, my bank's a little neat.
all their patents. Now, why does the prophet want?
We've always had Comstock's a liar, a murderer, an all-round piece of shit.
Child. And why does
But hey, he's the villain of the Bioshock game then. Very rarely nice people.
can make it
I mean, I struggle to call Andrew Ryan a nice person.
I don't think that's the real Lady
Or
Comstock.
Sophia Lamb. Who everyone forgets about Sophia Lamb.
I think she's...
And Bioshock 2 in general.
I think she's a combination of herself and my feelings towards her.
What do you mean?
I'm just so angry.
He's forgotten about Bioshock 2. Oh yeah,
at
Bioshock
her
2.
and at my father.
But that's the one with Ultra, isn't
think
it?
she's her,
It's
but she's
objectivism.
also
It's
part
that
of me.
fucking original.
I'm not even sure I understand it myself.
The Archangel tells me that Columbia will only survive so long as my line sits the throne. Yet Lady Comstock...
It was lovely. I'm glad you got that one.
Thank you.
I've asked Lutess about the matter, but even she refuses to help.
He's the child in his bloodline. How many banks actually have giant vaults in them like this? The giant door, like your Scrooge McDuck. No.
I couldn't really tell you in all honesty.
If you did know, I would be worried how you knew that. I don't know. You always see giant vaults and... it's still electronic these days anyway. Who actually carries...
they'll have to have them all somewhere, because the whole thing that
Yeah,
they
the
have
Bank of
to have
England. And, who actually uses cash these days?
cash. I do.
Yeah. Oh. Well, you would. He's still in the pre-decimalization system. He's kicking it old school.
Pounds and shillings.
Yes. Which is way more confusing than you try to explain it to someone.
It's incredibly complicated because
Yeah.
there's no decimalisation to it.
My mum still claims it was better.
My dad does. Weirdly enough, my dad. No.
Like,
I won't say
back
that.
in my day, it was... Yeah, that's what-
No. My dad doesn't say that quite like that. But he thought the whole reason. It's a strange. It's Dad and I got into. It's one of the many times Dad and I talked politics. My dad believed that with Brexit, meaning we could go back to the pre-decimalisation.
We never took the euro anyway. We always told the euro to fuck off.
No, but it's not to do with that. It's because he thought that because we decimalised was stipulation from Brussels. Which is interesting, because we decimalised before we joined.
19... I know we decimalised right as my mum finished school, which really pissed her off, because her entire school was taught the old methods.
Yeah.
And then they went, no, change it. I went, no.
Decimalisation day.
I'm still at all the fancy new £1 coins.
Or the brand new ones.
Yes, the brand new ones. Fancy little things. What? That's fancy. How some vending machines don't like them.
Decimal Day was the 15th of February,
The most
1971.
awesome maths festival ever. Decimal Day.
Oddly enough, the Republic of Ireland did it the same day.
They're on the euro, aren't they?
Who? Ireland? Yeah, they're Euro.
They're in Euro. Talking currency. Back in the day.
Because the old currency was pound shilling. For those of you who don't know, those of an international or a younger nature, what used to be in a pound was you used to have 240 pence in a pound, 12 pence in a shilling,
Old pence.
and 20 shillings in a pound. Pence used to be it wasn't a P, it was a D.
Just a ring for you there, one.
And a shilling was an S, and a pound was a pound. Well, yeah, because pence was because of the letter D from Latin, denarius, and S wasn't for shilling; it was for the Latin solidus. It's an interesting situation.
Very interesting. Let's make things simpler and keep it in hundreds. Round up to hundreds. 100 pennies in a pound, and 100 pounds in a super pound. 100 super pounds in a hyper pound. Then hyperinflation starts, the whole thing goes to shit.
Yeah, but we were one of the last countries.
We would be. And that newfangled currency in there.
The first English-speaking nation to have decimalised currency was the United States in 1792.
Haven't their currency always been decimalised somewhere?
Yeah, well, 1792. It's pretty much it was the first. Was officially authorised. It was the first English-speaking nation. Tsar Peter the Great used the concept for the Russian ruble a century earlier, in 1704. But China had been using a decimal system for at least 2,000 years.
Here's the currency in China.
China, it is...
Yen is Japanese.
Yen is Japanese.
It's like a super billion yens in like £5.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think, what is the currency in China? Other than children.
No, children are tax.
Well, they weren't allowed children. Was that not going anymore? The rule, but they're not allowed to have children.
What, the one-child policy?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. The currency of China. It's in.
There's several of them, like languages. Damn it.
I love it when I open one of these.
It's all in Chinese. I can't read it.
No, again, I apologise incredibly if I my pronunciation. It's the renminbi. The renminbi is the official currency of China. The yuan is the basic unit of the renminbi. It's generally used to refer to the Chinese currency generally, particularly in international. So, Chinese yuan. Y-U-A-N.
Chinese currency.
Yuan.
Soon to be the currency of the entire world.
Moved against his political
Once
enemies.
China,
well,
once China takes over.
Based on the current distribution,
Unmarked graves.
first is the dollar,
Man was ever
second is the euro,
of grace.
third is the
Would
Japanese
be my
yen,
husband.
Japan always
fourth is pound sterling,
But when I was beyond
fifth is the Australian dollar, then the Canadian dollar,
Too many countries have dollars, and then there's the
then the Swiss franc, then
Swiss.
then
I mean, Swiss are part of the EU. Switzerland always
correct.
remains out.
Switzerland won't join
Switzerland always remains out of things, and damn them Swiss
neutrality.
and their
Then
delicious chocolates.
after the Swiss franc, it's the renminbi or the Chinese yuan. Then it's the Swedish krona.
Sweden doesn't have the euro.
Correct. Sweden. It's an interesting situation Sweden's in. So there's stipulations that when
Very
it
interesting. We
reaches-
get into more modern politics about Sweden, but we'll get say out that.
It's got stipulations that when it reaches certain criteria, but it's criteria that the government sets. Essentially, it means that Sweden is working towards getting to a point where it can join and will become part of the Eurozone, but only when the government deems it fit. Essentially, it's a way of perpetually not joining the Euro, but working towards it.
Why didn't we think of that?
We could. It's
We never
perfectly-
did have the euro. We always kept
No, we outright declined it. Gordon Brown was against it.
Nope. He's always
Gordon Brown was. It was when Gordon Brown was the Chancellor and Tony Blair was still Prime Minister. And
Ah,
the big
Tony
push-
Blair those days.
Tony Blair was pushing for a greater inclusion in the EU. It was when the Eurozone was coming into the fore. Gordon Brown was against it,
Yesterday morning.
and that's why we didn't join the EU. That's why we didn't join the Eurozone.
Didn't join the EU.
That's long before us that we joined the EU Common Market, the European Economic Community. 1973. Ted Heath. Anyway, 10th, we're talking about most traded currencies by value. After the Swedish krona, it's the New Zealand dollar.
Another country that has to get some more original names.
Then the Mexican peso. Then the Singapore dollar. Then the Hong Kong dollar. Then the Norwegian krona. Then the South Korea won. Then the Turkish lira. The Russian ruble. The Indian rupee. The Brazilian real. And the South African rand.
Rand?
Rand. R-A-N-D. That's the
That's
currency.
down Rand. I'm Rand. And,
That's the currency of South Africa.
Currency of Russia is now goats.
To be fair, a lot of those countries, the reason a lot of them have the same name, part of it comes from sort of a colonial history to it. It's why Kenyans still use Kenyan pounds or shillings as well. No, they don't all, I will admit. I mean, the fact that
too
it's
many
like...
dollars. You go, $1, what dollar? And say which country. They want different names. You wouldn't have this problem.
Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Singapore, they all use dollar.
It's probably all worth different amounts as well.
Yes, it is.
Which makes...
But it's gonna be tied to the central bank of that country. So it is going to be different, radically so.
What's a dollar? What kind of dollar? Surprise me. I still think we should bring back £1 notes. Saves all the change we've always carrying around.
That's interesting.
Just describe
Poland isn't in the Eurozone either.
Isn't it?
Apparently not.
Only Switzerland won, 'cause they don't trade anything. Switzerland.
Well, Switzerland aren't in the Eurozone.
They stay out of everything. No.
But Poland isn't apparently.
Yeah.
It's the zloty.
Well, Poland was going to trade. That's harsh. Poland.
That is a bit harsh.
They made the Witcher game thing with more respect.
Here we are. Eurozone. I'm going to see what countries are
Is that
actually
really
in it.
It's rapidly declining now. Don't we, high chance that Merkel will.
Yeah, here we are. So the
March into
countries in the
Poland,
EU but aren't in the Eurozone. UK. Sweden. Denmark. Poland. Czech Republic. Hungary. Croatia. Romania. Bulgaria. Oddly enough, Montenegro and Kosovo have unilaterally adopted the euro,
Good for them.
even though they're not in the EU.
Can they do that? And I don't know the rules.
They've adopted it, but they're not officially part of the Eurozone. Nor do they have representation in the European Central Bank or in the Euro group. Which is a bit odd.
I'm surprised there are many countries in Europe who don't use it. Brussels would have marched into those countries demanding these things. As you like to do.
I find it more interesting to look at the old currency for them.
I remember the days of francs and... Well, I remember was francs.
Franc marks in Germany.
Marks,
It was the shilling in
currency was way
Austria,
more interesting back
the
then.
franc in Belgium, the pound in Cyprus, the kroon in Estonia, the marker in Finland, the franc in France, the mark in Germany, the drachma in Greece,
Sounds like a Bond villain. Drachma.
the punt in Ireland, the lira in Italy, the lats in Latvia, the litas in Lithuania, the franc in Luxembourg, the lira in Malta, the guilder in the Netherlands, the escudo in Portugal, the koruna in Slovakia, the tola in Slovenia, and the peseta in Spain.
Currency was way more interesting back then. And it all got centralised in one foreign currency. Damn you, EU. Make it all have one currency. Even though a lot of countries still did it, which made it even more pointless to do it.
So we've been talking about currency while we took talking about the game.
Oh, Elizabeth is making that with her non-model currently. How they were both lied to and cheated and by dear old Comstock, and they should unite together on that hatred.
That'll work.
And then together they will rule the galaxy as
Mother and
mother and
daughter.
daughter. Kind of that. With less dismemberment of limbs. Seems to be a trope in Star Wars. Well, was. I can't see that now
I
because
saved him.
they want to upset the feminists.
Is that possible? Find out, child.
It's a shame about the siren enemies. You only ever see one. A lot of that one-off. You've got another one-off enemies. You see. Remember they were advertised a lot in the trailers, the sirens. And you only ever fight one.
Thank you.
We need more ghosts. We need another Bioshock game. I don't get one. What else could you explore in Bioshock, since the theme of Bioshock is usually extremism in some form? What would you like to see an extremist version of in Bioshock game?
Extremists.
Well, you've had objectivism, the extreme of altruism, and kind of
I don't know what other ones there are to see.
losing of the self to the system. Bioshock Infinite's about extremism in religion, race, and tied into with the whole parallel.
What other versions have we got left, really?
Oh, hi Sunburn, you're still in this game. Oh, he's pissed. And the themes you'd explore in Bioshock game. Most people know about objectivism and Ayn Rand in modern day because of the first Bioshock game.
It's a way to introduce a concept.
You ever read Atlas Shrugged? I haven't.
No.
And from what I've heard, it's a slog to get through.
I knew about it beforehand, but that's because it's me.
He always has deep knowledge about Ayn Rand and her literature.
No, about objectivism I did, but that's a different kettle of fish entirely.
Why are you putting fish in your kettle? It's not good for your kettle. That's why you have to keep buying new kettles. Keep putting fish in them. If you want to steam some fish, buy a steamer. That's what they're for. I love how Songbird holds a grudge.
Stop it! Stop it! Don't hurt him!
Look how he just shoves it to the side. No.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it has a heart.
I never should have left.
The giant metallic bird creature has a heart.
Take me back. Take me home. Please.
Aww. Aww, it's almost adorable in a weird, kind of backward kind of way.
Elizabeth!
Aww. Seriously, this thing needs destruction in its wake. Well, it's going to end well for us. So that's terrifying. There's a face in the sky. We lost Elizabeth again.
Joy of joys.
Oh, you don't like Elizabeth?
No, but, you know, the whole nature of we got to catch them, that would be fun.
Well, put it this way, it doesn't end well for her.
I kind of guessed.
Oh, it really doesn't end well. And, it's gonna get horrific very quickly. But we are heading towards the end of the game.
Yes, it felt like it.
You are wrapping up the, well, I'd say wrapping up the plot, but the plot kind of just stops and then implodes in itself in a level of pretentiousness up its own arse. In that way that it does. And then we've got DLC to get through. Oh,
Are we doing the DLCs?
Maybe not directly afterwards, but at some point we'll be doing DLC.
Okay.
Maybe not directly afterwards, because there's a lot to deal with. And the end of the second DLC is more mind kind of what than the main game is.
Right.
You will need a flowchart to understand what's going on. So pay attention. There will be a test
Yes, sir.
on American history, which you know a lot about already.
Yeah, I do.
And I do. I've played Assassin's Creed 3, and as you all know, those games are historically accurate.
Oh,
I'm not-
God.